Hi, everybody, and welcome to Creating Efficiencies with Workflow. I am Andrea Diaz, partner at SKC & Co. CPAs, and I am here today with Lorena Mosqueda, workflow strategist at Paradigm Marketing and Design. We're here today to talk all about workflow strategy and creating efficiencies. Lorena, why don't you just give us a little bit of background? What exactly does that mean, and what does a workflow strategist do?
Basically, I'm a data geek. And what we do is we create processes that have a blend of human behavior and technology to create the most accurate data so that you can make smart data-driven decisions. So that's everything from creating standard operating procedures and implementing a database, such as a customer relationship management tool, or just simply creating an overdone Excel spreadsheet as you're getting ready to go into that CRM world.
Awesome. And I'm sure you all can figure out why she's so passionate about this webinar today. Just to give you a little background, for me, I am passionate about creating efficiencies and in workflow for two main reasons. One, I've experienced it myself in my own business, the benefits, and two, I've witnessed so many of my business owners implement various different types of workflow processes, and it has helped them raise revenue and increase their bottom line. So as an accountant, I love when businesses can do that.
Andrea has been able to witness this from behind the scenes, right, with the numbers. But when I see this, I'm usually seeing it as the psychological shift in human behavior, which can be very traumatic. So when we talk automation, we know that there's 22% of business owners that believe that embracing new technology is the biggest challenge facing their company today. And it's just about changing the way we're looking at things and the way we're doing things to get a better result. But we all know that change is hard. So before we talk automation and before we start talking about some tips and some things that you can learn today to actually implement into your business, we figured we'd give you some top level views first.
Yeah. And, we all change over the last 2 years is all we've dealt with. Right. But this is a positive change. This is good things to do to help your business. So business functions, where could workflow efficiencies possibly be helpful? In every function of your business, from human resources, marketing, sales, finance, operations. They're all connected. They all have different types of workflow processes, and they all benefit the business owner, especially when they are integrated and they speak to each other.
Well, that's exactly what we want to do, because the philosophy is that if you're looking at automation, especially automation that ties everything in together, and that's going to give you data-driven growth, which at the end of the day takes all the emotion out of making decisions, and it empowers your team with streamlining and organizing all kinds of systems for you to scale efficiently and successfully. So anticipating technology needs and blending the technology with the human behavior will always result in impactful business process automation, which affects every aspect of the business.
Sure does. Whoa.
Now, I know these are scary statistics, and we're not doing this to scare you, though. We just wanted to let you know that you're not in this by yourself. This is very scary when we're talking technology. We know that 20% of new businesses fail in the first 2 years. A lot of that has to do because they're not well organized sometimes, and they're not sure where things are, and they're making a lot of gut-based decisions. 45% fail during the first 5 years, and that's because of scalability and growth. 65% fail during the first 10 years. And only 25% of new businesses make it to 15 years or more. So there's obviously a lot of scary statistics with that. But Andrea, I know that in your business, you're seeing businesses that have been around much longer than that. And I'm sure you've seen the difference.
Yes, I've seen businesses start off, at the beginning phases as new companies, and seen businesses that are very mature and everything in between. Processes is one of the number one reasons why businesses continue to be successful.
And what we're going to do is in the next few minutes, we're going to basically break it down by those business functions that we kind of went over in the very first few seconds. So we're going to start off with human resources.
So go ahead, Lorena, why don't you take this one?
Okay. So the human resource aspect, there is a ton that goes along with this. There is the applicant tracking system, payroll, benefits administration, et cetera. The reason that business automation will allow your business to grow by creating in the HR area an automated process is because you don't want to waste time doing a lot of manual entry when somebody's resume comes in. If you have an applicant tracking system, it'll actually automate the resumes as they're coming in, timestamp them for you, and it'll allow you to put in notes so that when you're looking for a candidate in the future, you can do a quick search to see if they're a good match or not. The benefit of having it tied into your human resource information system is that you can click a button and it can go from an applicant that you are interviewing down the different process of interviews or group interviews that you might have, maybe background checks, over into they've been hired and they've been offered a position that they've accepted, and what kind of benefits do we need to enroll them in. The less admin work that you have to do between all these systems, the better off you're going to be, because you'll be able to grow, scale faster by having faster interviews and a faster turnaround time between those that you're interviewing, offering a job, and taking a job. We all know that in this economy right now, it's like unprecedented times. Like there are so many job openings that if you interview somebody on a Monday, by Friday, they might have 5 job offers. So you have to be able to move quickly, and you have to be able to pull back your notes so that if somebody doesn't work out because they're not a great fit right now, but they might be a good fit in the future, you can do a quick search based on their skills, their name, their job requirements, or whatever keywords you're looking for. So it's super important that if you can create some sort of cohesiveness between your applicants and your employees and your benefits, et cetera, it'll help your onboarding streamlined much more effectively to really keep people in and keep them happy and engaged as you're coming on board in your company.
And what I also love about a human resource system process is you can see, once the application tracking system is huge, everybody's trying to hire right now. We all are. It's the industry. But as you move into training and performance management and time and attendance and benefits administration, I am a huge proponent, if you've heard me speak before, of treating your employees the same way that you treat your clients. So we want to make sure that they have the best training. We're tracking it. We're giving them a platform to be able to choose their trainings, to track them, that they have everything about your company at their fingertips, and that they are well informed of how to move from module to module. Go ahead.
I was going to say the succession planning part, I had it grayed out because that's not something that applies to everybody, but I left it on there because as the business starts to mature and you want to see someone take over, maybe you don't have children to pass it down to, or maybe you're not sure who it's going to go to, or maybe you want to sell it. That succession planning is super, super important. And I don't think it can be achieved successfully without having some sort of system so that there's training and employee self-service tools and reporting of who's gotten bonuses, who's gotten awards, et cetera, as you're making those next steps, because whoever comes in after you is going to want to have that holistic picture. And we're not going to be able to tap into what's in your mind from memory.
That's right. That's right. It's something that Casey, Debbie, and I speak of in the collaboration conference on succession planning and exit strategies, and engaging your employees for that succession.
Exactly.
Plan.
Not to mention that having a human resource automation in place will actually help you have greater employee retention. It'll create client consistency, which is going to save you money and bring you more money because you're going to be happier that they're with the same person. Customer satisfaction, word of mouth is going to increase, which increases your referrals. Reduce turnover from a sales perspective from employees is going to reduce your money in training costs, recruiting fees, lost productivity. Not to mention that employee retention grows innovation. So if you're having a lot of turnover, that innovation is going to suffer.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you, Narana.
Then we have marketing. We talk about marketing, you have to know your customer. And we've talked about this in a couple of the other webinars here too. You have to know your customer's DNA. And when we talk DNA, most people assume, it's their age, their gender, their income, their industry, what's their things. But this isn't knowing your audience. We're talking like you really need to understand their hopes, their fears, their perceptions. That's when you really get to know your audience. And then you need to start measuring their interactions, measure their interests, and then be able to generate better qualified leads so that you're able to replicate that ideal client over and over and over again. So in order to get automation in marketing, you need to start thinking about like the building of the funnels. And again, there's many other webinars you can listen to today and on our website at Paradigm Marketing and Design about how it takes 9 to 13 touches to reach your audience. Now, the only reason that I have this in here so that you can see all the different ways that you have to reach your target audience. But you as one person, or even as a company of 100, do not have the time to do this all by yourself all the time. And you're not going to be able to get the data that you want if you are not actually automating a process of this. Now, Andrea, I know that you guys have a great dashboard that you use with your clients that I have to share because the data geek in me absolutely loves this because we have something very similar. This one happens to be from your dashboards, but tell us what we're saying here.
So we all send out, or this particular instance, and many of us do that have constant contact, send out marketing campaigns via constant contact. So we want to know how many sends are we, or how many, campaigns are we, how many emails got sent out, how many people open that email, how many clicks into the website once somebody opened the email. So get our open rate, our click rate, our bounce rate. Your bounce rate is if the email gets popped back. And then correlate that data and overlap the data into website users, Facebook reach, and then we tie in the CRM system on the bottom with Zoho, how many leads we had during those times at the same times that we are running campaigns in constant contact. So it's marrying multiple points of data. But again, we need to automate this process, right? So we need to automate. Zoho can automate as our CRM system can automate how many, sending out constant contact campaigns once the contact is there. And so creating the process while time and resources in the beginning, all of this can be on auto flow.
Correct. And what the benefit of that is that when we do the behind the scenes and we do connections, we are making it so that you can get a report like this. Now, this, it looks very beautiful and it looks very complicated, but it can be quite simple. And it's not something that you have to hire somebody to do. Most CRMs do have integrations with Constant Contact or even MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. So all you need to just do is find that integration, click. Usually it's a couple of options to give authorization for them to talk to each other, and then maybe start to grow from there as to what options you want them to sync to. You don't have to go all this right away. But what it does is it allows you to make data-driven decisions. So when we're talking, should I advertise more on Facebook versus LinkedIn, you'll know which ones are giving you a better bang for your buck because you'll know what's actually coming in during that time frame.
Right. Now, and I just one thing to add to that as we jump into sales, because as an accountant, as a business owner, what's the difference between marketing and sales? I have, in my own opinion, you tell me if you're different. Marketing fills the funnel, sales closes what's in the funnel. Am I right there, Lorena?
Absolutely. It's a nice, simple, easy way of understanding it. Yes.
Yeah. So in filling the funnel, the marketing is the constant contact campaigns and all of the things that we just talked about. Now that we have that funnel, or have that lead, have all those things. Now we hop into sales, the second component. I'm extremely passionate about this part because this is where your CRM system comes in. I'm going to tell you a quick short story. When we first started our, I'll call it outreach, brand marketing and sales, which was about 5 years ago, most of our referrals prior to that had come in from client referrals. So we were very new to the process, and we started with what we called cards on the table. We literally brought our business cards of everybody that we met at various networking events. And there were 3 of us in the group at the time. And we would sit in a conference room in our office and put our cards on the table and talk about who did you meet this month? What can they do for you? How can we help them? And so very quickly it became apparent, well, now we need a system to track all these people that we're meeting. Naturally, as accountants, we started with Excel. And then very quickly we realized we need something a little bit more robust. We need something that more people can, and it was manual. The CRM systems now can take a picture of a business card on your cell phone and automatically put all of that information into it. But initially we started with physical cards on our conference room table. Today we're in a fully automated CRM system 5 years later. And we got our system probably a few years ago. What a difference. What an all-time difference. But that's why I'm passionate about.
And I giggle because, while I love this story, I mean, I'm sure that there's many people that are watching us right now that are still doing that, which is fine.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
The first step is recognizing we have a problem and then making attempts to fix it. And you guys started with an Excel spreadsheet, which, listen, a glorified Excel spreadsheet can do wonders before you get into that.
It certainly can.
Go ahead.
A CRM system. So I'll let Lorena go over the the numbers first and the sales, and then I'll really go into the CRM.
The reason I want to bring this up is because we might tell you that automation is important, but it's not just about a CRM. It's about generating a system of processes throughout your company that will actually allow the cohesiveness of everything talking together. The reason we bring up the CRM a lot is because a customer relationship management tool used to be seen as something that was just for pre-sales, but now can actually be, with most systems, can be converted to really have the entire life cycle of a client. From the very beginning, we just met you, you're a figment of my imagination, I'm not sure if you exist, to there being a possibility that you are actually going to give me some business, that there might be some opportunity for us to work together, to now we have a signed agreement, a signed contract, and then the project is actually taking place. So it can actually help you with all aspects of your business. And if you look at some of these data metrics, I mean, they're pretty significant. I mean, 92% of business said that it's crucial to achieving their revenue goals. 45% ROI. I mean, that's a 45% return on investment per dollar invested, which is huge. It can boost your conversion rates by 300%. I mean, we all know it's so much easier to sell to somebody you already have a relationship with than to somebody that you're just starting to get to know. And it can improve your customer retention rate by as much as 27%. And who doesn't want to not have clients leaving?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a game changer. And, to understand the process from when from when you initially get a lead to when that lead becomes closed business, and then when that closed business turns into cash in your pocket, understanding that time frame, understanding when that's going to happen will help you hire, will help you predict when you're going to have to hire, will help you forecast your revenues, will help you be able to budget your expenses. Having this data at the forefront, and then understanding the trends and patterns and all of the various stages, which we'll get into in I think 2 slides, is hugely helpful in planning your business.
It's absolutely. It's taking the emotion out of doing business. So right. We don't want to spend too much time talking about how to select the right CRM, because we want to make sure that you're actually taking advantage of the top level presentation. But if you want to take a look on our website, we do have 6 steps to business automation. It's a nice little presentation that walks you through what to look for, what things to consider, and how to actually set up that implementation of a CRM into your organization. So you can definitely check that out. And again, it can manage all assets, all aspects of your business. So it's not just about sales. Now, when we do talk about sales, and this is where Andre and I really get excited about our data and our charts and everything else, there are so many ways of looking at this from a perspective of reports. So this one right here, I think, is one of our favorites.
Absolutely.
It literally talks to what she was saying about measuring and tracking and considering what the next stage is.
So over time, we realized as a business just so everybody can see, these are the various stages on the bottom of a CRM system. If you don't have a CRM system, you can customize it to whatever you want your particular stages to be. This one just happens to be, closed, lost, closed, won, or the various stages of where a proposal is. So qualification, investment shopping, deferred, needs analysis. So in this particular picture, negotiation is the highest, right? So this is the number of proposals we have in negotiation status. How beneficial would this be if you knew that your business was about to close 48 different contracts? What does that mean to your business? What does that mean to your staff? What does that mean for planning? What does that mean for, it's one thing to get the business in the door. How do we then go from negotiation, signed contract, to getting your product delivered? So this helps us plan far in advance of having the business already here and then scrambling at the last minute to get everything in order to be able to work on your projects.
Absolutely. And not to mention that if you know your close rate is, I don't know, say 75%, then again, you can start to figure out, oh boy, if I bring in 75% of these 48 opportunities, I'm not going to have enough staff. I'm going to totally overwhelm them. I need to start maybe pushing back on clients, changing the start dates. I mean, I know that we've done that on our side when we started to realize, boy, we're going to have a lot of influx right now. We're going to have to start pushing out our start dates. We started letting clients know, like, look, we're only going to do 2 to 3 assessments per month. So if you want to sign the contract now, great. we might not be able to start for another 2 or 3 months, but we'll put you basically in the queue. This way we were able to hire new folks, train them, and make sure that everything was running smoothly before we brought somebody in new as a client. And it's tremendously helped our efficiencies and our growth, because when we're talking productivity, it all pays off in the end. Not to mention that having a report like this helps us figure out where in the next step of the sales cycle do we need to make sure we're putting attention. If we have too many things sitting in needs analysis for way too long, maybe it's a training opportunity. Maybe it gives us the opportunity to talk with our sales reps to see what is happening here. What are we taking so long in this particular stage? Are we not asking the right questions? Are we going towards the wrong audience? Could we maybe change the way we're doing this? And sometimes it's just we have too many junior salespeople. Maybe they just need the handholding of somebody that's a little bit more experienced to help them bring it to the next level. So there is a lot that you can do with the data from here.
Absolutely. And I'll add to just quickly the training for closed lost. Why didn't we get that client? I mean, the ability to dig into that. And also closed won is, where did they come from? Always understanding where they came from, and the background story helps you in the future as well.
Absolutely. And all of that ties into finance.
Absolutely. Because we go from marketing, fill the funnel, sales, close it, and then finance. Here we are. So how much revenue? This is I'll call it a simplified dashboard of what business owners should be looking at every month. The revenue that they're bringing in, the cash that they've collected. If you have inventory, where your inventory is, how much you have in open sales orders and your AR, and being able to automate and have this at your fingertips, it helps you make business decisions that are, and know where to focus your energy. Again, as Lorena has said before, that are not based on just your gut and your intuition. We know all entrepreneurs have amazing intuition, but we want to make decisions based on data.
Not to mention that, there has to something to be said about seeing that number of proposals out there being so high, seeing a closed one go up dramatically, and all of a sudden going, oh boy, now I have to invoice all those clients, right? So if you don't have some sort of connection between your sales system and your invoicing system, how do they know that they are ready to invoice? How does your accounting team know to get that out? How do you know what's out there and sitting? I mean, you might have a tremendous backlog in your receivables, or you haven't gotten paid for some things. So by doing a dashboard of this kind, you're able to have a real grip on what is happening at any given moment, so that you're able to say, oh, I do need to hire. And guess what? Now I'm going to have the cash flow to hire. So it's going to help me grow and scale up. The next thing is, it also helps us to track, with sales team activity. So there's two little things that I want to share with this. Sales team activity can sometimes have the perception of, oh boy, Big Brother's watching. Now everyone's going to be watching and monitoring what I'm doing. No, that's really the wrong approach to look at it. The right approach should be more of, the more we're able to see where you're spending your time, we're able to see where can we do as management help you in oversight to maybe streamline some things for you. Maybe you're spending a lot of time sending out emails that maybe could be automated via an auto drip campaign. Maybe you're spending a lot of times doing follow-ups, trying to schedule appointments. I mean, I hate those emails where you're doing, hey, can we see each other on Tuesday? How about Wednesday? How about Thursday? And then it's like 35 emails that are going back and forth at different times. Maybe it's just a matter of setting up a bookings calendar or a Calendly setup so that people can just go, oh, I clicked, I saw what's available. This works for me. Boom. An hour of your day saved. So seeing the sales team activity helps us as managers oversee what's going on so that we can better follow up with you and better manage how we're actually going to continue to scale up. So if you're looking at an activity graph like this one, I can see how we're spending our time on emails versus list emails, which is not like a mass email, but it's basically sending out like an email template, versus tasks or phone calls. I think in today's day and age, nobody really picks up the phone and just has the nerve to just call somebody anymore. I think everything is very scheduled, but you can see that it allows us to gauge where we are in our sales activity. The other thing is that it allows us to track what we are doing against goals. So again, if you know that you need to talk to 10 people in order to close 2 deals, well, then perfect. We know that in order to talk to 10 people, you're going to need to make X number of phone calls, those people need to move over to the next stage. You always have a percentage that you start to figure out of what you need. And you'll be able to start managing, how many cold calls you made, how many cold emails, how many referrals you asked for. It starts to just hold you accountable from a perspective of, both management and your own sales reporting.
Absolutely.
Now we have the operations. And I know this is a list of questions, but I know you deal a lot with this, with the financial aspect of things.
Yes. And we've kind of already addressed some of these things. But how does a workflow process help you with operations? Who's doing the work? Who's doing the onboarding of clients? Who's managing your deliverable process? Who is invoicing? Who is collecting? Who's managing change controls? Once you've closed a client, what if things change? Who's recording those? Who's managing all of it? There are many different components to your business, as you know, and a system where there is certain processes in place can help you systematize all of these questions.
Yeah. And not only that, but it will also allow you to have some accountability from your team. They'll be able to hold themselves accountable for what they need to deliver, and that empowers them with making other decisions. So as a business owner, if you want to scale up without creating efficiencies and some sort of level of automation, that scaling isn't going to happen as fluidly, as naturally, or as quickly as it should, because you're going to have to be involved in everything. And let's face it, you can't be everywhere all at once. So without having all of this, it's going to be really difficult for you to create those processes, those processes that don't actually have you involved in every step of the way.
Now, with so many people being remote, having it manual and having it on, I have this Excel spreadsheet on my desktop, and then I have to email it to that person, and they've made 4 changes and they've saved it on their desktop. And, having a system that is in a cloud that everybody can access, that when there are no version control issues, because if I make a change, it automatically updates what you would see. It just simplifies the whole process. It gives you back hours in your week. It gives you back resources from a manual perspective. It just really helps reduce expenses so that you can get back to doing what you're doing best.
Absolutely. And again, we've talked about some of the benefits of creating efficiencies by creating your processes, but these are some of the biggest ones. We want to make sure that that you can meet your consumer demands because what's coming down the pipeline. You're growing revenue without necessarily adding people. If you put in a system and it's working really well, by systematizing so many of those things that can be done automatically, you don't have to have somebody doing that, frees up their time to do something else. You get to forecast revenue at the same time that we can forecast the need to hire. You can improve your service level performance because now everyone on the team kind of knows what's going on. There's no uncertainty as to what's going on. You can realign the organization to some of those improved processes so that as you're growing, you can start to see where there are gaps in the process, or maybe where you can better shift an employee from person A department to a person B department because they're going to be better suited to help their growth there. You can identify, cater to, and retain loyal customers, clients, to optimize your marketing investment. Because when we talk about client DNA, now you know who they are and you can go after them because you know exactly who you're targeting, which means you're now going to help your bottom line. And Andrea, as a CPA, is going to love that because she's going to know that you're maximizing your advertising dollars and you're managing your operational costs all at the same time. Not to mention that you get to understand popular products, services by region, season, whatever your business model happens to be, you're going to have the right products or services at the right time for your right client, which is only going to help you increase sales. And that all helps you with employee retention and satisfaction. I mean, all of these things play so heavily and nobody lives in silos anymore. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you take anything away from today, is that you cannot create efficiencies if you're creating an efficiency in one silo.
I 100% agree. And, I talk to so many of my business owner clients about this, and they, sometimes their biggest concern is the cost. And I encourage them every time, it is not a cost. It is an investment into your business. It is an investment for you personally as the business owner. It's an investment into your people. And it's an investment into your clients. So yes, while there is upfront costs and there are, resources that need to be had in the long run, it will pay dividends.
And it is hard. I mean, there's a love-hate relationship I talk about when you're putting in new processes because it sounds great, but it's going to be tough, but it's absolutely worth it. If you're interested in having a conversation, you can schedule a 30-minute consultation with Anna at our team, and Andrea and I can definitely schedule a meeting together to work with you. So we'll actually buffer it all through my team.
Yes, absolutely. Any questions you have, we would love to be able to answer them and talk you through how to get started on your new workflow process.